We are going to go over how to access MediView online. This is just going to be a brief introduction of how to get onto the system and how to just quickly navigate through some of the screens on the system. There will be more detailed training that will come out regarding each of the screens and what information we are looking for in each section. The best way to learn this system is to get online and play with it. So today we're going to go through it. We are on Firefox as our Internet Explorer. It works on regular Internet Explorer and Firefox. It has limited support in Safari, although we haven't found any real issues with using Safari. It will not work under Chrome or Edge. You're also going to need to have Silverlight installed. There's a video that shows how to do that. That's also in the email that you received from me. So if you go here, we're going to go to MediView Hub, so www.mediview or MediView Online. And now as it starts to load up here, you're going to see that spinning circle in the middle. It's going to increase the percentage, and that brings us to our main login page. So this main login page looks the same if you're using the online version or the mobile version. Now the mobile version will only be available to you inside the ambulances, but the online version looks the same as every other in both sides. So down here in the bottom left corner, you'll see it looks like a little antenna symbol with a green check in it. That's just to say that you have an internet connection. That box also appears on the mobile version. That tells you if the system is connected to the internet or not connected to the internet. This is a messaging app that allows you to message amongst users on the system. By clicking on it, it brings it up. So we're going to come over here to our username. So let's type in our username and our password. And so now it is going to load up our information. The one difference on this main screen that we'll notice right away between mobile and the online version is on the online version it shows two different sections here, one for records and one for scheduled trips and dispatched calls. If we were on the mobile version, there would be another section down below scheduled trips that would say crew members, and that's where you put the crew that's on the ambulance. All right, so on this main page, you will see that up at the top here we have our records, and right now I'm on record 95. It shows that that's open. And then there's 94, 93, 91. These are all showing locked because they have been sitting open for too long. So they locked themselves. They don't transmit them, but they get locked. We'll go through how that works in later training videos. So these are the calls that are under my name. Down below that we have scheduled trips and dispatched calls. You'll notice there's nothing there right now. This is where the information from the dispatch system, or we call our CAD system, would show up. So when the dispatcher puts the information into the system, it sends it out over I am responding, and it will also send it to this program. So the information would show up down here. And then you could grab a call from the CAD section down below and just come up here and hit confirm and create report or import to current report. This is how we will get our run numbers and times now. You will not have to call dispatch anymore. You can start your call right by doing confirm and create report, or if you've already started the call, you can just import all the information. So on the left here's home. That's where we are right now. Manage records. That is an administrative function that you won't be using. Up at the top of the screen, again, admin. That will be grayed out on yours. Edit user settings. If I click on edit user settings, that brings up my username. It will show the name to display. So you'll see that name to display where it says welcome art. That's where it gets it from. Your primary email address, that should be a suffieldEMS.org address. And this is where you can change your password. The first time you log in, it will ask you to change your password. And then there's also a thing down here for secure or secret questions. Make sure you put those questions in. That's very important, because if you have an issue later on and you need to reset your password, you're going to need those questions. So once you're done that, you would click Save, and that updates your personal information. That under your user logins. Now, if we go over to the personal info side, this is where you would put, any information. Now we have under maiden name or initial, we have CT. That's in all of our records, so just please leave that as it is. Any other information that you would want to put in here, you can. You don't have to. And now anytime you have here where it says show under race, if I click on show, it brings up a whole bunch of choices. I click on hide and it goes away. That show and hide functionality carries through on a lot of different things on the programs. So again, a lot of information here. Much of it we are not going to be filling out. And then under contact info, this is just for you. If you want to put in your address information, you can here. Right now, we're not putting that in. We may be adding this stuff in later. Under your email addresses, your primary email address should be assigned to work, and it should be at suffieldEMS.org. Do not change this to your personal email address. If you want to add one, if you just come over here and add it, okay, you come down here, you hit add. You would type in your next email address that you want to do. Come over here with the type, and then you hit save. Okay. And then the other, back up to the top after user settings, it says welcome. It will have the name that you chose to have displayed, and then the last box would be log out. So when you're done, you can just log out. On the next row, records, that's where we are right now. These are all our current records that I talked to you about. And then we go to search records. Search records is where we look up somebody. So let's say that I want to look up John Doe. Or I believe his name is John Doe. I know his last name's Doe. So we're going to search Doe. We're going to search all calls. We're going to match any field. So what that means by any field is maybe his first name is Doe, maybe his last name is Doe. We typed it in our last, so we're going to, and you'll see here we have a bunch of John Doe, Jane Doe, John Bailey Doe. They all showed up under the search for Doe. So let's say that John Bailey Doe is the patient that I am looking for. So I highlight that. And now I have two choices. It says copy to new record, that's black, or grayed out is copy to current report. And copy to current report is grayed out because I don't have a current report selected. If I did, I could choose his name, hit copy to current report, and the report that you're working on would have all of his information plugged into it automatically. I'll show you that in a second. But here what we're going to do is we're going to do copy to new report. So I hit copy to new report. And it asks me, do I want to put in the patient information? Yes, I do. Do I want to import their history? Yep, I want that. I want their billing information. Now, import patient labs. We don't really use this functionality, so it doesn't matter if you leave this as yes or no. There's really nothing in those fields that we're importing, so we're going to leave it as no for now. And I click OK. Now it's creating a new record. Come back up to this top line where it says search records or records. I click on records, and you'll notice now there's a new record here that doesn't have a number. That was just created on 6/8. So if I click on that record and I hit load, now on the left I have all these new buttons. After home it says start here, incident, patient, help, assess, treat, drop off, and review, submit. This means that my call is actually open. So if I click on start here, again, I'm going to go through all of these in individual trainings later. This is just to give you an idea of how these pages navigate. So there's start here. This is next page is where our incident information, and the system is laid out based on how you would respond to the call. So you'll notice on this screen we have response, dispatched to, dispatched from the scene. There's vehicular and injury information, because this is stuff that you would run into from the time that you are dispatched till you arrive with the patient. The destination is not here because destination is not known usually prior to response. And we come down to our patient information. Now, remember, I started a chart with John Bailey Doe, and here's all his information. Now, we have John as his first name over here, Bailey as his middle name, and Doe as his last name. But let's say he normally goes by the name Johnny Bailey. So alias here is Johnny Bailey. So now if I was to search Johnny Bailey and match any fields, I could find that. So this is helpful when you have somebody like maybe their full name is William and they go by Bill. So alias might be Bill, you could put in here. Makes it easier to search these patients. And then across the top, there's a whole bunch of tabs here. Some of them we use, some of them we are not going to be using. But we will go through these in great detail in further trainings. But what we want you to do right now is just to get onto the system and try it. Try putting records in, try clicking on different boxes and seeing what they do. Because we have demographics, there's additional demographics. This is, preferred language, highest education. A lot of these things we may not be using. So there's contact information. This is the patient's contact information, and you'll notice right here it says use incident location. So if you went to their house to pick them up, the dispatcher put in the house address, you confirmed it was right, you put it into the call, then you get to this page and they say, yeah, this is my house. You just click use incident location. You don't have to type it in again. It's already been typed in once by the dispatcher. You're just carrying it through each time. Physician, who's their doctor. Again, a lot of information here. Whatever you know of it is great.
21 arrival at Johnson.
And then we have billing information. So when you come down to billing information here, you will notice there's a bunch of different things. This mileage to closest hospital and stuff, that will be automatically imported. I'm going to come down a little bit further. This just keeps going. Most of these boxes do keep going, and some of this stuff we're not going to be using. So this CMS-based EMS condition code, we're not using those boxes. I'm going to come over here to insurance. Insurance, this is one of the great things that we're going to see throughout this report, that not only can I put insurance information, but more importantly, on the mobile version. So here it says we can do something else. So here where it says picture of insurance document or other billing documents, it has attached file. On the mobile version, it also has take a picture. So all of the tablets that are in the back of the computer have a camera on them. You can just hit take a picture. It brings up the camera. You can take a photo of that insurance ID, and it automatically attaches it to their information. So instead of trying to write down that 50-digit number and make sure you got it right, you can just take a picture of the insurance card. We ask that you take a picture of the front and the back and attach it. You don't have to go put the numbers in. So power of attorney. This is where you can put in power of attorney information. This is helpful in that, let's say that we have, and I'm just scrolling down through the screen here, because we can attach a copy of the power of attorney. The power of attorney may not necessarily be important for the first time that you see them, but let's say that we have a patient that we're probably going to see in the future that has a power of attorney. We can attach that document so we have it going forward. Then we're going to come over to the health screen. The health screen is just where we are going to put in their health information. Just giving it a second to load here. And down this, so here is our health information. So some of these boxes have these little, you notice it's saved right away. I didn't have to hit any save buttons. That save is automatic. So if I go to that drill down button here, so these are medical surgical histories. So this is a very simple box. I can either go to this little drop down here, okay, and I can look through a tremendously long list, or I can start typing it in. So let's say it was fracture, I can, or I could just go to the drill down. This drill down, so the patient right away says, I have anxiety, I have CHF, and what else do we want to give them? Let's find something interesting. Let's go to high cholesterol. Okay. I hit confirm, and so now I have put that information in for their history. So I confirmed it. I have my computer running too many different programs at the same time. Sorry for that delay. And now I have that all in their past medical history. So there's past hospitalizations that go down here. What hospital did they go to? When were they there? There's family history. Again, family history, if you can get it, great. If you can't, it's not a big deal. So medical history, where did we get it from? We have those fields now. Okay. We have our meds and prescriptions, which will have a long or a detailed information about how to put these in. So this is just basic, show you some basic information. I would ask you to try this screen, okay? Because this takes a little bit of practice. You can attach images. That will attach images and med lists. There's a lot of this information we may not know. When do they take it? That's fine. We want to make sure that we get med names and stuff. But again, the best way to learn this one is to play with it. Allergies is a similar thing. And this is the patient current health. A lot of this information we may or may not know. Weight, it's always a good idea to estimate a patient's weight if we don't know it, because that is important for some medication information. And then this is where we have advanced directives. So we can take pictures of advanced directive. An advanced directive might be a DNR form. So if we go to a patient and they have a DNR form, we can attach that image by just clicking on attach image or take photo, which would show up here on the mobile version. Assessment, this is where you do your assessment in here. Over on our EKG, this is so where we put our EKG interpretation goes in here. If we come over to our devices, this is where we're going to import. Now there's no device information to import right now, but if we did have it, and we do, the monitors are linked to this if we were transmitting, so I could import my information right from there, same as we do now. And vitals will come over. So these are, this is where you would do your vitals here. Best way, again, play with this. We'll have more detailed training coming out, but it's very important that you just start playing with it. Try to learn how the system works. Okay, your physical findings. Now, this is where it's a little bit different. You go down here into your physical findings and you can start going by parts of the body. Okay, so again, play with these. You can either click on the image, you can click on the word down the side, and so if I click on the image, it will bring up the ability to add different parts. So what was it? Was it tenderness? Was it a gunshot wound? Was it pain? Is there deformity? You can click on any of these. Now I have my screen enlarged so you can see it easier. If you make the screen smaller, the stuff shows up better. It's just mine is extremely large to make it easy for you to see. Impressions, this is your initial acuity. So when you found them, it's just like what we have now. What were they? And what was the possible injury? Okay. Or was there a possible injury? So if it's a medical, it's probably no. There was probably no possible injury. Do they need follow-up? So this is where your primary impression. So your primary impression, we go to, so let's say here for this person, we're going to call it, we'll pick one that's close. I click on confirm. So we're going to go with hypertension. There's secondary impression, because nobody ever seems to have one issue. It's normally mental or multiple. Alcohol and drug use indicators. These are all things, remember, that we saw in the old system. They're just in a different place. Complaint, that's their chief complaint. Our treatment page is just that. It's treatment that we did. Was it done prior to arrival? So you go to the doctor's office and they gave them a nitro. We want to make sure that that's recorded. So let's say they gave the nitro 5 minutes prior to your arrival. So I can either click now. So if the tablet will be mounted in the back of the truck and it's all touchscreen. So you could just click on now, go to your drop-down medication, and let's say that and the medication list has been shortened to just be stuff that we carry. So I click on nitro. And now it's in there. Okay, so I can go back later and I can add more information. And right over here it shows up the dosages are already pre-done. So all of that information should already be in the system. And places where it's not, just let us know and we can update that. So you can start all that information right there just by touching the screen. Controlled substances for our paramedics. You're going to be able to do your controlled substances here, and watch this. This is pretty cool because when you come down the screen, now we have used, the amount wasted, and look what's here. The crew member can sign, the waste witness can sign, and the physician can sign. So no more form out of the narcotics box that has to be filled out separately. You're going to do all this right on the run form. So it all becomes part of the record. So there's procedures. Again, play with these procedures. There's airway, birth, neonatal, CPR. These are all, CPR stuff is all that was in the other one, okay? Our EMS charts. There's no difference there. Drop off. This is where we are going to put in where we're going. So where's our destination? We can click on select facility. And all the facilities, you'll notice there's other hospitals that will show up as well. There's another way to do this too. So if I get out on the mobile version, under tools, there's another one that says hospital. If I click on hospital, it will give me a list of the hospitals that are closest to where I am. I just click on the hospital and put use as destination, and it puts it all in. This arrival time will come over from the CAD system. Let's say dispatch can't hear you or whatever. You just take your finger, you click on drop off, you come over here, you click on now as you pull into the hospital, and there you go, that's your time. There's transport. These are total patients, how they were transported. Then your patient narrative. Some of you like to put a narrative, because remember, our activity log now is different. So this is where some of that information would go into your narrative. You can type in here. There is text to speech that works really well. We're going to go over that in a further training. There's a bunch of things that you can do here to put that in. And it does have spell check. I would encourage many of you to use that. I know I'll be using it. No laughing out there. And then there's print. This is if we wanted to print the data. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be actually transmitting this to the hospital electronically. So, and our last tab is review and submit. This is where times are, the mileage, there's validation, ED outcome, protocols, delays. This screen here, we will do a lot more training on. I'm just going to tell you for now it's here. And down the bottom, we also have some tools. One of these is pictures. So this allows us to, on here, view pictures that are attached to the record. So let's say I had taken a picture of their ID. I had taken a picture of their DNR. I could view all those pictures right here. Or the motor vehicle accident. I had taken a picture of the scene. I could view that here. I have a time-based overview. So here, I'm going to this screen and it will show me what I did. So there's not a lot of time-based things that have been put into the system right now because I only gave one medication and we only arrived them. But your time of dispatch would show up. Your time en route would show up on here. Every time you gave a med or you gave something else. So where this becomes very helpful is you're working a cardiac arrest and you're just touching the screen. Because remember, all of that is touch screen under your treatment. So if you go to the treatment and you just click on epi, you don't have to do anything else. Remember, that's already built into the system. So you're clicking on the epi 1 to 10,000. You can go back. So all you do is go to your left-hand side from treatment and go down to the bottom and go to a time-based overview. Click on that. And now all of a sudden, it is showing you when the last time you gave your medications are. So you can take a quick look and go, all right, it's time for another epi, and you can give another epi. The next thing is signatures. This is right now, our refusal form is in here. Under documents, there'll be additional forms down the road that they can sign. So this is refusal for transport. They will sign here. So this is the patient's signature, the witness signature, and then your crew member's signature, just by clicking on these. And then you can do relationship status, signature status. There's a notepad down at the bottom. Now on the tablet, you can use your finger. You can write here. There's a pen attached to the tablet, and you can just write whatever you want here. So let's say you're in the house and you want to quickly jot down some notes. You don't want to get into putting it into the chart yet. You can put it right there. This does not get attached to the patient record. This is a temporary notepad. So you hit clear. It's gone. This over here brings up your, this actually won't be there when we go live. All you'll see is your statewide protocols and your 2018 protocols. You'll be able to click on this and it will bring up the protocol list. On the mobile version, it's a faster because it actually lives there. Here it's going out to the web to grab it for us, and it would show up with the protocols down there. The next box here is this is to print or export. Again, we are not printing them right here, so don't worry about that. And if you wanted to see what your actual PCR would look like, if you click on the little PCR button, it will bring it up. It may not at this point because we have very limited information into the system right now. The next video, I won't have a report running in the background at the same time. So this is what it would look like as far as a paper form goes. Again, this is really not overly important because we are not going to be doing things paper. The goal here is to make it all electronic. So, but that's what it would look like. Okay, you'll notice none of these are checked. These are, and we can remove things, we can add things or whatever. Crew roles is the last thing that I want to show you, because this is where once you put a crew member in, so here there's one crew member, you can put in, were they the driver in the response and in the transports? This is important. Maybe I drove to the scene, I was the primary caregiver on the transport, okay? And on the scene I was another caregiver. So maybe my partner was the driver to the hospital, but at the scene, they went into the house and took care of getting the patient information. I just got equipment for them. So they were the primary caregiver at the scene, and then when it came time for transport, I hopped in the back of the truck, so I become the primary caregiver for transport. So, and you can add additional crew members just by going select from roster. So you can add whoever you want. So we'll add Jake here. And so now if I go down my list here, it shows that there's another crew member on there. So, and every time I'm adding a field, so if I go over here and I add in this, you'll notice the little box in the bottom left-hand corner, it goes to a blue circle inside of that antenna signal strength. And that's because it as one data element to save. What that means is I changed one thing on this screen that needs to go out to the internet and update. Now that's already done. It went to 0 and the little checkbox came back. On the mobile version, that green check may go away from time to time. You're going to Johnson, you lose internet connection. That check will go away, but you can continue to use the program as you always have, and it will just keep storing the data on the tablet. And as soon as it gets an internet connection, that green check will come back, and it will start syncing the data while you're using it. You won't even know it's happening. It just happens in the background. So the nice thing is you're learning one format, one form, no two different forms like we used to have with our old mobile version. So again, this is just a very quick overview. There'll be much more detail about the information that we are looking to specific to our service in each screen. There's also information out there in other videos which we'll be sharing with you that are more generic about what can go into each screen. I would encourage everybody, as soon as you get your login information, to spend some time and do some practice reports. The only way to learn this system is to use it. You can't break it right now. Get on there, play with it, go to all these different check boxes, try different things, see how it works, and come back with your questions. But please hold those questions till we've gotten some more of the training out of the way, because a lot of it will be answered as we go through. And everybody enjoy playing with